Yep,
Sure.
Okay, and it just, it goes automatically, so we'll just leave that on until it's time to go.
good. Looks great.
How about that?
Excellent job.
Thank you.
This is it's very, very impressive, Bob. It really is. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Hey, that referee there was, I think it was a sideline photo I had of you on an ACC game.
That is just a nice.
Bruce, we got a couple people that didn't turn their mics off. Can you mute them?
Yeah, I muted everybody that came in. They're gonna have to, if you want to talk like Bob or Jim, you're gonna have to unmute yourselves.
Can you hear me, Bruce?
Yes, sir, loud and clear, as always.
Okay. Thanks for the permission, whatever it's called.
No problem. Don't need to hear like golf scores or nothing like that in the background. Talked to Clint today, Jim.
I'm sorry?
I said I talked to Mike Limbera today.
Yeah.
Not good.
No.
Saying a couple I guess Navinas is the right word.
Yeah. So, yeah, what can you say?
Did Steve get on yet, Citro?
I'm looking now.
Signed in now.
I don't think so, not as of yet.
No, he's not there. Okay.
Can you not hear me?
No, now I hear you, yeah.
Yeah, I just
Yeah.
signed in as you were asking if I was here.
See, mental telepathy.
There you go.
Where are you? Let me see. Hello, participants. Okay, Steve, you're the co-host.
Okay, thank you.
You and Bob Masucci at this point. Bob's running his PowerPoint.
Okay,
Just tell me when you're ready to start and I'll stop sharing.
The only thing I know, I'm calling you out Thursday, Mr. Masucci. That's all I'm saying.
You're gonna do what?
Call you out on Thursday.
Oh. My brother calling. Hold on a second. Be right back.
Jimmy, you there?
Yes, I am, Bruce.
Dave and Steve and Terrence got the permission slips or the insurance slips for the 3 schools today.
Gotcha. Good.
Yeah, I'm here. I had to do something. I'm on Zoom.
Frankie Valley still around? Oh my God, how old is this guy?
We'll start in 1 minute. It just hit 7:29, so. You go with that, Bruce?
Yep, I'm good. Good to go, buddy.
Okay.
I'm just reading about Frankie Valley.
I think
I
Bob
might have a
has
little,
turned off his,
yeah, I see
Yeah.
that.
Well.
Looks like we're gonna have a late arriving crowd.
all
Maybe
right.
I'll start.
Those who are on will begin at 7:30.
Is Dave gonna do the intro? You gonna do the intro, Jim?
Makes no difference to me. Who's got it? Dave, Steve, or I?
Jim, you got it. Take the intro and we'll go from there.
Okay. Okay, well, it just hit 7:30, so good evening, everyone, on this nice late spring, early summer Tuesday night, June 13th. First of all, if you were on a little bit ago, Bob Masucci has done a just absolutely outstanding job relative to the upcoming second annual NJFOA clinic on August 5th. We'll just briefly mention this, but I think everybody's aware that it's open. I think we're around 175 or somewhere in that vicinity of registrations. Please, just a quick note, kindly remember, you have 2 weeks till tomorrow, June 28th, to register and get the long sleeve t-shirt that is alluded to on Bob's slides. After that, you can register, but you will not be getting the t-shirt. And we'll say another thing about this or two prior to the end of the meeting tonight. But tonight's topic is personal fouls. So Dave and Steve have gone through some huddle video from the 2022 NJSAA season. And obviously the season is getting closer and closer. I don't think Mark Pitar is on. I know that in case you're not aware, I think he's made aware, but anyways, August 16th, folks, August 16th, which I believe is by day of the week. August 16th is a Wednesday. That is the first day for scrimmages in the state of New Jersey. So Wednesday, August 16th. So with all that aside, Steve, I think is going to share his screen. Again, welcome to everyone. Thanks so much for coming in on a summer evening, and happy to be with everybody. And let's try to make this as productive as possible. So, illegal personal contact. Steve has again done a yeoman's job here. Tremendous tech work. Bob Asucci, Steve Citro, and a few other folks. It's really a luxury to have these folks, and I mean that sincerely. So, on the right there, by the way, is a picture of Sean Hockley. That's Ed's son, and for what it's worth, his brother has just been hired for his first year in the ACC. So, with that said, illegal personal contact, Rule 9, Section 4, by Dave Race, Steve Citro, who both are cadet trainers in Central Jersey. So, all right, Steve, rock and roll. So what we have here is a listing of some fouls, all right, that are DQs, disqualifications. You see there the referee on the right with the actual signal that would be preceded by personal foul, whatever it is. It's certainly we don't go into a football game thinking I can't wait to throw somebody out, but they happen from time to time. I'm guessing we had 4 or 5 last year in Central or in New Jersey that I'm aware of. I think in Central Jersey there was 2 that I recollect being told about. But again, this is not why we officiate, but sometimes you have to do what you have to do. So Steve or Dave, anything to add just generally relative to DQs or disqualifications?
No, sounds good to me, Jim.
Just pointed out, I think any foul that we want to qualify as flagrant for a disqualification is going to jump out. You know, it's not something you're going to want to think about. You're just going to know it immediately.
Yep. Well said, Steve. It's and if it doesn't stand out, probably best not. It certainly might be a foul, but relative to reach the level of disqualification, to Steve's point, it's got to be very obvious, very clear. So, okay, rock and roll, Steve. And this is just a personal foul, which we see quite a bit. Please remember, in high school federation, there is a 5-yard face mask foul as well as a 15-yard face mask foul. And you see the definition there. Okay, incidental versus grab, twist, turn, or pull. Okay, I think there's already a chat room question if I'm reading this correctly. Oh, I'm sorry, Bruce, you just put that in. Okay, I got you. Yeah, so when you throw a face mask foul, whomever you are, one of the things that has always been difficult for me to do, and my guess is some other folks, is to get the correct number. This is especially true, say a running back runs up the middle and he gets his face mask pulled by the side. Sometimes we see the face mask clearly, but might not be totally sure of the number. Don't invent the number, but that you still have the foul. Obviously, the foul still sticks if we're not sure of the player's number that committed the face mask. When the play shuts down, maybe we'll get lucky, step into the defensive huddle and say, hey, I know you didn't mean it, but who had that face mask? I've been fortunate a couple times in my career with that, and the kid will say, yeah, it was me, ref, or whatever. So, but anyways, 5 or 15 yards, when you throw it, you got to know it. When you throw a face mask foul, you have to know, you've got to own it. Is it a 5-yard incidental or a 15-yard personal foul? And please remember this as well. In federation rules, it is not an automatic first down. Unlike every other level of football, it is not an automatic first down. So, okay, and then the face mask includes obviously any helmet edge, any helmet opening, grasping a player's chin strap, and grasping tooth and mouth protector, which certainly I think happens extremely, very, very rarely. But if you look at the picture here of an NFL game, I think it's the Washington, forgive me, Redskins and the Eagles, whatever they are, the Commanders, whatever it is. But anyway, this would be, it sure looks coming into this as this is going to be a 15-yarder. But again, in high school, if you throw it, you got to know it. You have to own that. We have to, whatever official puts the flag on the ground, and sometimes it might be more than one, get together. You got 5 or 15, I got 15, me too, boom, like that, and move on with it. One of the themes this year that's going to be in the manual that Bob has done a fantastic job putting together, as well as at Sayreville, is the concept for referees of getting in and out of penalty enforcement. We'll talk much more at length about that down the road. That's one of the things that to think about if you're a referee. Get in and out of penalty enforcements. We're just taking too long. Mark Pitar's mentioned that a number of times to the 6-man manual committee, or 6 officials committee, I should say. So, okay, Dave, Steve, anything relative to face masks?
No,
Now,
I think you
like-
can-
Yeah, like you said, it's going to stand out. And if you're not sure, don't throw it. But if it has something to do with player safety, then definitely throw it. Because that's one of the things they want us to do, especially on UNRs for safety fouls, is player safety. So that's one of the points for trying to call these fouls.
Okay. Steve?
I think you covered it.
Okay. A horse collar, and this is obviously a relatively new rule. I think the NFL put it in earlier this century, and maybe, I don't know, 2005, 6, 7, somewhere there. And the NCAA put it in, I'm going to guess around 2011, 12, 13, somewhere in there. And high school followed shortly thereafter. So a great photo here, absolute great photo of a horse collar tackle, which has become much more prevalent in this day and age than it ever was. The definition is there. You can certainly look at the main black bullet and then the 3 kind of white bullets that are underneath it. One thing to keep in mind, that it's hard to explain this on a still photo. Horse collar fouls are most often gotten by the short wing officials on a long run or pass and a run. In other words, kid breaks through the line, maybe busted to the outside. Deep officials, if they're doing their job, are trying to keep their cushion. The kid might bust it all the way for a touchdown. The point that is being made here that I'm trying to make is the photo you see in the picture, if that's out in the open, that's normally going to be the short wing or whatever side it is going to have the best look at it. And you call it from behind far more often than a deep wing calls it from being ahead of the runner. And that's just something to kind of keep in mind that is stressed in these situations, in these scenarios. So think about that. Just kind of put that scenario into your mind. But this, again, Steve, it's a great photo here. And obviously the defensive player is going to be called for a personal foul, horse collar tackle here. This is classic. I mean, this is a textbook example of it. So Dave, Steve?
Just the big point is getting around the nameplate inside the collar, pulling the runner to the ground in our rules backwards or sideways.
Yeah.
So just knowing the definition of it's important here.
It's I like the fact, Steve, that the Federation, the last white bullet, it's enforced as a liable foul, even if it occurs out of bounds after the play. I actually was in a game a few years ago with that exact scenario on a punt return, where the kid is returning the ball quite a distance down the sideline. I was working as a side judge, and he got yanked back, pulled down immediately, the whole thing. And myself and the H actually had both of them, but it occurred out of bounds. The kid actually had gone out of bounds, but then he got yanked down from behind. So it's important to note, as you have here, that in Federation, it is a live ball foul, regardless if it occurred in this instance after the kid went out of bounds. So it's just something for folks to keep in mind. That is not typically part of high school Federation penalty enforcement. So it's good, Steve. Thanks for putting that in there. We got some video coming up soon, but we'll cover more of the build the foundation first. So next, illegal blindside block. This is probably Federation wise, and Bob Masucci would know better than anybody, around 2019, 2018. And the great thing about the slide that Steve has here, this is a red alert. Number 19 looks like the Packers, but number 19, we have to have eyes on him, because this is a prime opportunity for him to blow up. I think it's a Miami Dolphin defender, and that is again a prime. I mean, this is where the rule. This is why the rule was put in. It's certainly a player safety concept. And in the old days on a punt return or interception return, these plays were very, very common, and the crowd would woo and all that stuff. And the kid would get blown up and maybe laid out. And, 10 years ago, people, that's football. Well, it's not football anymore. It's not legal anyway. So for number 19 to be legal, what you have to do is, first of all, you've got to see the entire action. And second of all, remember what the Rules Committee wants is for 19 on Green Bay to extend his arms rather than use his shoulder, certainly rather than use his helmet in the chest area of the Dolphin defender. Extending the arms is going to legally, that's one way to legally commit a legal blindside block. And Steve has that here. The contact is deemed not to be forceful. Okay. Or the number 19 initiates contact, as we just alluded to, with open hands or a basketball type screen, which you see a lot now. And whenever this happens, if you see, let's say 19 commits a legal, perfectly okay blindside block, when that play ends, the official near should say, hey, 19, that's a great job. That's a great job. And we all again know this has the prime picture photo of 19 who could blow this player up. And again, the Rules Committee at every level of football is always looking to enhance player safety. And this still shot here, again, this is classic, Steve. Appreciate your research. And as I'm rambling here, okay, Bob, thank you. The Federation put this rule in 2017. So I guess this year, not counting COVID, will be the 6th year for it. 17, 18, 19, 21, 22, 23. But at any rate, we see these. Hopefully they're getting out of the game more and more. But again, and Bob, thank you for that. And Steve, a great photo. This is again classic. So you see there the referee giving the signal if there is an illegal blindside block committed, where he just kind of puts his two fists together. That is the official signal in Federation for an illegal blindside block. Dave, Steve.
Jim, you mentioned the word red alert. I use the phrase my antennas go up, but if you're looking at somebody running the opposite direction of the person he's looking to block, that's your indicator right there. You should be focusing on that, because chances are you're going to have some kind of blindside block, legal or otherwise, but you need to have eyes on it.
So to that point, I don't know if Eddie Camp's on or not, but one of the things that Eddie and I have talked about just in the past at clinics or whatever, an old, not the right word, a very veteran ACC official who retired a number of years ago used to have a theory, said any player running the wrong way automatically has a brick in his hand, or to Steve Citro's verbiage, makes our antennas go up. Number 19 is quote unquote running the wrong way, which means we have to have eyes on him. And again, this photo is just absolutely brilliant. So, okay, Steve.
Yep.
So, if you were to talk to any football rules committee member at any level, the word targeting, while the definition varies from level to level, but the word targeting is kind of like what's the word I'm looking for? A black mark in football. The general public, media people, broadcasters, whomever, they have hopped on this thing like there's no tomorrow. Steve has there the Federation definition of targeting: an act by a player who takes aim at and initiates contact against an opponent above the shoulders with his helmet, as you see in the picture, forearm, hand, fist, elbow, shoulders. You see the referee here giving this signal for targeting. Okay. Please keep in mind that when you look at the still photo here, again, it's one of those things that it's going to happen quick. It's going to happen violently. And it's something that if it occurs, it's really good if we get it, and it's not real good if we miss it. These type of plays, obviously, there's potential for serious injury to the Mississippi State player here in this video or in the still shot. And it's also very, very potentially dangerous to the player delivering the illegal blindside or the targeting. That's really, when you peel back the onion, the player they're trying to protect the most is the defensive player, in this case, trying to make a tackle. None of us on this call ever want to see, and we all understand football is a collision sport. It's not a contact sport. Basketball is a contact sport. Football is a collision sport. And when the rule book at every level says that not only is contact permitted, it's encouraged, it's unlike, in my view, it's unlike any other sport that has ever been created. I mean, I'm talking about boxing, and unlike any other team sport in the history of society. And the helmet today is a weapon. A long time ago, I heard a guy talk about the evolution of the helmet, and initially it kind of looked like a pith helmet. Really, there was nothing to it, no substance to it. But over time, in the 50s and 60s, especially, the helmet began to change in shape and design. Face masks came into being, and the helmet manufacturers, the few that remain, because many have been literally sued out of business, but the few that remain have created what one player once told me is, I have my missile on. I didn't know what he meant. He said, my helmet is my missile. In other words, I go around using my head like a missile. Now, this is before targeting. The NCAA put it in 2008 or 9. And again, it's just been, again, any person on any rules committee, football wise, this is the number one thing that is talked about, discussed about the most videos shown about it, etc. And I think officials at every level, certainly the Federation and certainly in the NJSIAA, certainly are beginning to get more and more comfortable, for lack of a better word, relative to how this is a real black eye for the sport of football. And again, it is this, folks, those people out there that like to criticize football as Neanderthal, as too dangerous, whatever. It is this play right here that Steve has the photo of that has become part and parcel to what must be eliminated from the game. And the Federation is committed to it, colleges and so on. This is just, it has no place. There's too much potential. Again, not just for injury, the kid in the red shirt, Mississippi State, but the player delivering the targeting foul here. Dave, Steve, Bob, anybody?
I just want to point out, knowing the difference between our rule set and a rule set, if you were watching a game on a Saturday afternoon, is we do not have automatic ejection for targeting. However, you can judge it to be flagrant enough for an ejection or disqualification, if I'm using the proper terminology. And in my opinion, if you see a launch where the guy puts his head down like he's just trying to punish somebody, that to me, in my opinion, would be an ejection. But maybe the hit, it's hard to judge on the still, but maybe this hit we see here wouldn't rise to the level of flagrant for an ejection. It's a judgment call. And once again, I think you're going to know it if you see it. And if we're erring on the side of safety and you disqualify somebody, I don't think you're going to get a lot of pushback on that.
For the 72 folks on, I hope you don't mind my repeating what Steve just said, because it really hits home. In high school football, if you call targeting, it is not necessarily a disqualifying foul. It could be, based on your officiating judgment as to whether or not the foul has in fact warranted, in this case, I can't see the player in white's number, but if it has warranted a DQ. At in college, if you're watching a Saturday game, whatever it is, if targeting is called and upheld, it's an automatic disqualification, but not so in high school. So just again, please be aware of that distinction. That doesn't mean you can't call it, and it doesn't mean that if you do call it, you have to throw a player out of the game. All right, but Steve, that's a great point. Thank you for articulating that. That's really important. Thank you, Steve. Okay, upward and onward. Okay, roughing the passer, and for those of you that might know of or have heard of Robert Ridarelli, he's done he put together a nice PowerPoint, which eventually everybody in the state will have access to relative to roughing the passer. And this is one of the most difficult calls for referees. Only the referee should be calling roughing the passer. Okay. Charging, there you see the different criteria, the different elements, if you will, for roughing the passer. This is one of, I believe, 4 high school fouls, or fouls in high school, I should say, that result in an automatic first down. Okay. And you see where Steve has some verbiage charging into a passer who is throwing the ball in or behind. Defensive player must avoid, that's all. A lot of people use a 2-step rule. If a defensive player takes more than 2 steps and the contact is judged to be charging into the quarterback, this then becomes roughing the passer. And I have to correct, it's not just a quarterback, it can be any offensive player who throws a legal forward pass. Obviously, 99% of the time, it is the quarterback. But just to be clear, it could be if the team runs a reverse, it is still possible to say a flanker comes around and gets the ball and throws a pass. It is possible for the defense to commit a roughing the passer foul against him. But again, 99% of the time, the typical play involves a quarterback, of course. Okay. So I'm sure that whomever is on this call as a referee, we used to chart when I was coming up through the ranks. We used to chart the number of roughing the passer calls each referee made. And the supervisor at the time would then put out a statistic at the end of the year. In all the games we had, 118 roughing the passer calls, and then you would be able to see how many you had, and they would get graded as correct or incorrect. But today, there's far more roughing the passer calls today than there were years ago. Sometimes cynically, you'll hear announcers or broadcasters, and even some officials, I'm sure you've heard sometimes say they might as well put a skirt on the quarterback. Well, that right or wrong, again, this is a player safety scenario, and it's just getting to trying to protect the quarterback who's in a very vulnerable position often when he throws a pass. So, Dave, Steve, add to that.
Yeah, the one thing you said, it has to be a legal forward pass to have roughing the passer. But you can, if it's an illegal forward pass, you can call a personal foul, necessary roughness as your backup. But it must be a legal forward pass.
So if you take Dave's scenario, folks, if the quarterback were to run past the line of scrimmage and then throw a pass, we know that is an illegal forward pass. What that means by definition is we could not have roughing the passer. You could have a face mask if the defensive guy grabbed him by the face mask or some kind of other personal foul, but it is not technically roughing the passer. And of course, that'd be an offset anyway, because the guy went past the line of scrimmage, throw the ball forward, which you can't do, of course. But Steve, anything from you on this?
Same can be said if he throws a backwards pass. So just keep that in your mind. And just know that there is a special enforcement on this. If the pass was completed and they got a 30-yard gain, they're getting 15 yards on top of it.
So as you pointed out, Steve, everyone should be thinking, now, what is the intent of that part of the rule that Steve just alluded to? And obviously, if a kid catches a pass for a 30-yard gain and we have roughing the passer on the play, if you couldn't tack it on, then you're almost letting the defense have a free shot, and that certainly is not the intent of the rule. So this is obviously, again, a player safety rule. I think we're calling more than we used to, and that's at every level. You're the court. If you're the referee, keep your eyes with the quarterback when he throws the ball. And Robert Ridarelli has a great point in his presentation. Do not look at the ball. If you watch videos sometimes, or if you're at a game, you'll see a referee kind of quick turn his head to follow the flight of the ball. You don't want to do that. Obviously, we've got to, stay disciplined and stay with the quarterback. He is, quote unquote, the franchise player. And I'm using that term very loosely, but again, very vulnerable position. So, okay, Steve.
Hey, Jim?
Sure, Bob.
Yeah, one thing, that first bullet, it says specifically there about charging into a passer who's throwing the ball. Number of years ago, the Federation added to that the comment that any personal foul committed against a quarterback, it's not just charging into a passer. So if a passer just throws the ball and a guy reaches out and grabs him by the face mask, well, he hasn't charged into him, but that's still to be treated as roughing the passer.
Roughing the passer, right? Yep, great. Thanks, Bob.
I will update the verbiage on my slide. Thanks, Bob.
Okay, Steve? All right, here we see a prime example of, looks like a punter. Looks like we got a problem going on here. And again, in Federation, 5 or 15, right? Can be 5, can be nothing, or 15. So really, as a referee here, you got 3 choices. I don't want to make this like let's make a deal, whatever that show was, but you can have running into, which is simply 5 yards previous spot. You could have roughing the kicker, and similar to roughing the passer, this becomes an automatic first down from the previous spot, where you can have incidental contact. Now, as a rule of thumb, what people are teaching is if you watch here, the Packers kicker, if his kicking leg is what's hit, people are tending to say, make that 5. If the plant leg, in this case his left leg, is hit, that's where serious injuries can happen. Make that 15 if there's any doubt. My personal opinion is I don't like those rules of thumb. I think you have to judge it for what it is, each individual entity, each individual time. That I've seen a kid get blown up in the chest, and the rule of thumb is we'll call that 5 yards. I disagree with that entirely.
Yeah.
But I'm just pointing some things out that people feel are good rules of thumb or guidelines. But again, in my opinion, you have to see it for what it is. Bill Young has a question here in the chat box. Plays kick holder. He can also be roughed, Bill, to your point. So it could be roughing the kicker or the holder. You're absolutely right. On a field goal or extra point. Yep, PAT. So thanks, Bill. And then Steve, also back to the slide. It is not a foul, okay, in certain situations, okay. If in this play, if number 26 from the Bears, it looks like, if he was blocked into the kicker, now it doesn't look, but if he was, then the defense is absolved from having roughing the kicker called on him. Okay. So, and of course, if the ball is tipped, if number 26 is able to tip the punt, in this case, that removes the possibility of roughing the kicker as well. And in high school, it says near the kicker. So that's what you're being paid, whatever the amount you're being paid is to officiate that specific game. All right. But again, this is a great photo here. Again, this is the kicking leg being hit, but it might be severe enough to warrant 15 yards roughing the kicker, although that goes against the quote unquote rule of thumb that I alluded to a little bit ago. Dave, as a referee, is this your most difficult call, or is it roughing the passer in your opinion?
No, I don't think I had trouble with roughing the kicker, because I know a couple times the kickers like to put an act on.
Sure.
And I'll go up to them and I'll give them a grade, so, but no, I really, with the years I got in, I'm pretty well got both of them covered, in my opinion.
Something that I'll add before we go to the next slide. If you are a referee and you have a play where there is contact between the defense and whether it's the punter, the player kicking a field goal or PAT, if you have contact, which you judge to be incidental, okay, I've always taught guys to give like a safe signal. That safe signal may not be per se part of it. It's like giving the juggle signal on a pass on a side. And what it does, it tells everybody in the stadium you saw the action and you're ruling it to be nothing. This is something that I picked up years ago. I personally like that, personally endorse it. And I apologize if it's not a part of NJSA philosophy, but in my opinion, it's a great communication scenario. Obviously, if you have a foul, your flag is communicating. You have either running into or roughing. If you have, like I said, slight contact that Steve uses here in the second bullet, slight contact caused by the kicker's movement. And if you give a safe signal, I think that tells everybody, I saw it, I have nothing on it. Perhaps something to think about. And if it's unwarranted, then just please dismiss it from your thinking.
Jim, I've incorporated that into my mechanic, given the safe signal. That shows that, tells everybody I did see the contact.
Okay. And
But
you
I
have nothing.
do use it.
Okay. Okay. Steve? Yeah, roughing the snapper, to Bill Young's point about roughing the holder. There was also a rule relative to this. This is clearly a field goal. You see the kicker kind of approaching the ball to the left of the still shot. And you see number 54, looks like a Seattle Seahawk player, trying to literally jump over the line. That's a whole different thing. But sometimes, just think of it like this, folks. On a field goal, punt, or extra point, the snapper is extremely vulnerable because he has his head down. And they've gone to the point now where the collegiate and the NFL level, nobody can even line up over him. You have to have there has to be daylight between the snapper's shoulders and any other player within 1 yard of the defensive line of scrimmage. But the point I'm making is protect the snapper. There might be no player in football who's more vulnerable than a snapper on a punt, PAT, or field goal, as he is looking through his legs to try to snap the ball to the holder on a field goal or PAT, or to the punter. So we've got to protect that player. And that's another one of those player safety things. You can look at old videos where you would see like a nose guard literally put an elbow into the back of that kid's head, or back of his neck, or the top of his head. You can't do that any longer. And that would certainly qualify as a roughing the passer foul that Steve has a good photo here. So Steve or Dave?
No, I got nothing.
Nope, I'm good.
Okay.
All right, give me a second, and then pull up the video.
Okay. So,
While you're doing that,
Oh,
you might want to just go over about the fact that the snapper isn't protected for the rest of the play. He's protected until he has an opportunity to regain his
Mhm.
balance,
right.
or until he blocks or otherwise participates in the play.
Thanks, Bob, for that, for the clarity that you just provided. And yeah, I mean, obviously, at some point, he's going to put his head up. He's not going to, if it's a punt, he's not going to stay down as the ball's punted, but nonetheless, exactly. And if he starts running down the field to try to make a tackle on a punt return, he obviously can be legally blocked. So, all right. So, with that in mind, with those slides in mind, is hopefully a little foundation. We see here, we're going to look at some video relative to personal fouls. Let's just look at the formation here just to start with. All right. Obviously, it looks to me as though the ball's right around the 50-yard line. And we see the team in white on defense, blue on offense. Looks like, is it number 6 in blue going in motion? So why don't we, Steve, go ahead and Steve, point out what it is in particular that we should be looking at, and we'll talk about keys and stuff like that. So,
We're looking at the right guard, Jim, the right offensive guard.
okay. Do we have a center field shot? I don't remember on this one.
No, I have no end zone shots. That's what's so bad about this.
It's all right.
But you can see he's the right guard. He's going to be
Yep,
coming across about the plus 47, and he just lays the guy out.
Yep.
And this was called by the umpire. There's a good pickup by the umpire. He's swiveling with the play. He
Yep.
comes over and lights up the guy right there at the
Yep.
47. Boom.
And then stands over, and that is a
He
great.
stands
pickup.
over him. Yeah.
So, great pickup.
But it was a flag. So it was a good pickup by the umpire.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's it's one we'd love to get, because again, these are the type of plays, if you don't get it, the term ill will comes into mind. And now whether it's the white player on the ground or a teammate is at some point might want to do a similar thing to 72. When you call a foul on this, it doesn't take away the fact the player might be hurt. We all understand that. But nonetheless, if we get this, it's a really good thing for the crew. Might be a crew saving type call. And hopefully might even enable the crew to keep the game under control and in whatever flow, rhythm, or tempo might have been established. So the umpire you see to the left at at the very left of the screen, this is a really good get, and it shows he's officiating off the ball as well. So this is really well done. All right, the second play, kickoff here. Remember, think about blindside blocks on kickoffs, that kind of thing. Go ahead, Steve.
This particular play, Jim, has to do with the tackle, which is going to be coming towards the near sideline. Watch the action of number 6.
And again, no end zone shot, if I recall, Dave.
No, no end zone. No.
All right, so is the video, and it kind of loses it right here. Stop it right here, okay? If the defensive play, I should say the kicking team player, the K player here looks like number 5, there's absolutely no reason, none whatsoever, for him to fling this guy down. The guy is clearly out of bounds. If number 5 doesn't let up here and he throws the guy to the ground, this positively warrants a flag for a dead ball late hit without any question, without any debate, whatever. There's right here, the play's long over. The player in white running the kickoff back is already out of bounds. There's no reason to fling this guy except trying to punish him, kind of like a macho thing, whatever. And that's what we're saying, folks. This is, years ago, this might have been tolerated. In this day and age, the rules committee, this is a foul. I don't know if it was called. We have a short wing coming up. He's maybe just a tad too close there, but nonetheless, I hope that this was called by either the official who's about at the 14.5-yard line or the deep wing who hopefully slid about 10, 12 yards. No reason he can't have eyes to this as well. Referee, we'd like to see you make what I call banana, all right, a little bit towards where the runner is running. If you look at this still shot right here, all right, no player other than at the 30-yard line in white. There's nobody even close in proximity to any other opponent. You can't obviously foul air, all right? But the referee should have made a banana movement, hustle, okay, and get eyes towards this play as well. There's certainly nothing else going on. And if you draw a big circle from where the guy went out of bounds around the 20, okay, for a big radius or a big circumference, I should say, there's nothing going on other than a little bit of whatever at the 30-yard line between the player in the white shirt and the blue shirt.
Now, this was not called because on the next play, which I don't have in this clip, in this file, it was placed at the 19-yard line. So it was missed.
So this is a bad miss, quite frankly.
Hey, Jim,
Okay.
this is the thing that Camp always refers to as the second act.
Yep,
And
exactly.
if you run this play and just see if the short wing is focused on the spot, because that's something it would cause him to miss this. If he's watching the players, if he's focused on the spot. Well, he took a look at him later.
So, and if you, Bob, your point is well taken. If you watch the short wing here, he sees the guy get thrown down, but he might be, see his head right here looking down? There's
Late.
zero reason in the history of football to do that. Zero reason. We want our eyes up. When we look down, we're watching the ground and not human beings. The ground has never offended any player, but human beings certainly have. And again, I don't know if this is the opening kickoff. It really doesn't matter, but can you imagine starting a game like this?
No,
Okay.
it's not opening kickoff.
Okay, thanks, Dave.
Jim, if I can put two things in. A, the short ring here looks like he's reaching for his flag and has second thoughts. And B, number 5 over number 10 is taunting him or showboating over him.
Yeah, this is, shall we say, this is not what you want to send into the rules or the mechanics committee saying, hey, look at how well we officiated this play. And again, referee, you got to get over there. Okay, there's no doubt. You got to hustle over there. You being in the middle of the field here is totally irrelevant. Let's understand this as well. Team A now, the team in the white, they're going to put the ball and play at the right hash mark. So why are you in the middle of the field? Okay, Steve? Interception, think about blindside blocks, think about those kind of scenarios.
Yeah, about the 45-yard line.
Ooh, was that it?
The umpire has a flag on the
Like, we're
two guys
watching this
going,
guy here.
yeah.
Yeah.
He threw a flag on the two guys and it was a force against the receiving team. They backed him up 15. So he had the flag,
Intercepting team?
yeah. So
Okay.
I don't know. Looks like
This
they're
is-
both going at it, but
Yeah, so if I can interject here, this is a classic example, folks. This is a classic example of coming to a play late as an official. That doesn't mean you did anything wrong. It simply means this umpire might not have seen the whole entire action. And as a rule of thumb, please take this to the bank. When any of us come to a play late, we are wrong far more times than we might get lucky and be right. And this is a classic example. I can assure you the umpire did not see these two players on either side of the 50 at the 49-yard line on the ground. I can assure you he did not see the whole thing initially. And when we come to a play late, invariably we are wrong. Are there exceptions? There are exceptions to most everything in life and in football. But nonetheless, if we come to teach yourself that, put that into your mental repertoire. If we come to a play late, invariably we are wrong with our judgment. We have to see the whole thing. And when I saw this for the first time, that's what jumped out at me right away. Okay?
Right.
We got some extracurricular stuff going on there about the 46-yard line, right?
yep. It's number 5 again.
Yeah.
It's the second time, so umpire got it again. However, go back to the second play where we had number 5 with the tackle out of bounds. If we would have caught that or flagged it, maybe this wouldn't have happened. I don't know. But it's number 5 twice.
It's a great
'Cause
point, David.
He
Yeah.
took the right arm and swung it at him.
Yeah, and it's a good pickup by the umpire there. Now, it's 5 runs off the field. I'm not sure as an umpire there, I'm not sure we should still have eyes on him a little bit longer here, but nonetheless, the flag is gotten. The question now you have to ask yourself, is it live or dead? Okay, because it will, that could affect the enforcement, obviously. Is that a live ball, personal foul, or dead ball? If it happened after the play, we know we're going from where the guy ran out of bounds, right? And if it happened, actually, even if it's on the receiving team, it would be from the end of the run, which it looks like maybe the 41-yard line or 42-yard line, something like that. So
They
Good.
did tack it. They did tack it on against the receivers, 15 yards, and was 1st and 10. So
okay, so we went from the 41 back to the 26, whatever it would be.
yeah,
Okay,
well, it'd be against blue, it'd be back up to the 51.
well, that's the kicking team then, right?
No, excuse me, the kicking team. Yes, the
Yeah.
kicking team.
All right, so we
Yeah.
go from the 41 to the 56 or the other 44.
Yeah, that's correct.
Oh,
Excuse me,
okay.
56. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
They did tack it on the next
Alright.
play when I was looking at this.
Very
So-
good. Okay, good job by the U to get that. Notice how many of these plays, folks, are kickoffs or punts, kicking plays. Okay, please don't fall asleep on these type of plays.
This is not opening kickoff, so.
Okay.
And we're looking at the receiving team number 73 at about the 25-yard line on number 16. He's lining them up right now. Boom. So that was not called. That was missed. I would call it. It's a
Understood.
defenseless player. He doesn't know he's coming. Even though he didn't go on the ground, I would call that.
So in my opinion, that'd be a judgment because we have it in it deemed to be forceful contact, in my opinion, it could go either way. But at the very least, somebody should be there talking to 73.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly that.
And Steve, you mentioned, and Dave, we could have difference of opinion. There are a number of plays in a football game. I don't know who coined this phrase, but it's been around for a long time. Folks called it. It's a 50-50 call. And I've used that in speaking with coaches as a college supervisor. Coach, it's a 50-50 call. It's the one against you. Not everything in football, although we try to make it black and white, there is gray area. And this is, if you just listen to Dave's opinion relative versus Steve's opinion, and everybody on this call would have their own, it's a 50-50 call. Some folks would think there's enough for a foul. Others would say it's a talk to. There's nothing wrong with that, is what I'm saying. Some fouls clearly are fouls. Others are 50-50. And this is an example in my view of a 50-50 call, 50-50 play. But some things stand out, others not so much. That's why they're paying us. If you made a checklist of what good officials do, one of the criteria has to be judgment. Has to be. So we can read a rule book, we can watch video, we can study rules questions, we can watch still slides, but at some point during every game, our judgment comes into play. The idea of a manual is to make those type judgments as consistent as possible. Okay, Steve. Is this the very next play, Dave?
Yeah, so next, no, yes, it is next play.
Yeah, okay, that's all right. Yeah, that's what I
Now,
figured.
on this one here, Jim, we're gonna be watching number 4. He's just
Okay.
coming on the field. Okay? Just watch him and what he does, but we are gonna have a flag on number 2 for holding. But watch what number 4 does.
I'm wondering if anybody's keeping the play clock here, because this already took like more than 40 seconds, but at any rate. Okay, so
4's down right there, just turns. Now watch what happens. That's a good no call. He raised his arms.
the
he
thing
stopped.
jumped ahead of me. I really couldn't see it. So can you
Yeah.
run it
All
over,
right,
Steve?
You can
Okay.
go back, Steve. Back it up
All right.
slowly.
Are we watching number 4 in white, who's on the 30-yard
Yeah, the
line?
guy,
now with
the guy who's
foot?
coming downfield.
Coming down the field, he's about the 35 right now, right at the bottom
Okay.
of the screen.
Yep.
He's going to turn to come back. But then it's not like a basketball move, but it's close to it. And he stops in no contact. Okay. And again, what you said earlier when we we're going through the PowerPoint, that's where you give a verbal, good job, not hitting him, tells a player you got his eyes on him. So,
And a very classy by number 4 to not commit, would surely look like it could have been a personal foul and even potentially an illegal blindside block. So,
Right.
yeah, if you see that, folks, tell them, hey, 4, that's a great job, 4. Way to go. And you'd be amazed how players respond to that. You'd be absolutely amazed if you haven't done it. Okay. It also shows almost subconsciously, for lack of a better word, players, coaches, they hear that. They think, hey, this guy knows what he's doing. This official knows what he's doing or knows what she's doing. And that's an important thing. All right. We build a lot of credibility sometimes with things that are not as obvious as, say, a clear defensive pass interference or something like that. So communicate with the players, communicate with the coaches, and communicate with each other. It goes a long way towards basically running a football game. Okay, Steve?
And also to that point, subconsciously, you're planting a seed in the player's head that where he's being watched, and maybe next time he doesn't throw his hands up, he wants to throw his shoulder.
Hang on.
You know what? They saw the last one, they're probably gonna see this one too.
So the point is, preventative officiating might save a foul down the road, not just right there and then. So absolutely, Steve.
okay, Jim, we have a kickoff on the second level of the receiving team, near side, number 19.
Notice our umpire right behind there, as we put him last year.
So right there's 19.
All
And
right,
the player's slow in getting up.
all right. So can we run this over? There's a couple things to point out here. If you are the H or the L in this play, okay? If you're the H or the L, you've moved off the goal line not only too early, but too quickly. There's absolutely no reason. Eventually, the player with the ball is going to be behind you. That should never happen. That should never happen. Just hold your water. Just stay still. We see a lot more accurately when we're still. So if you go back to the beginning of this, as this kickoff is bouncing around, and we all probably have like eyes and the deer in the headlights type eyes here. There's no reason for that short wing to come up as fast and as far as he does.
Right.
If you watch when the receiving team guy gains possession of the ball, we're already moving full speed coming up. Don't need to do that. There's no one near him. No one. So he gets possession, maybe, I don't know, the 13, 14-yard line. Now look at where the short wing is up top. Okay. There's absolutely no reason for that. I'm not being critical. I'm trying to teach. There's no reason whatsoever for that. Just hold your water, stay behind the play. This should be analogous to a punt return where the F or the S is in front of the return man. There's no reason for that. So with that as a backdrop, then we have, in addition to that, Dave, would you say it's number 19?
Yeah, 19. He's just making contact about the 30. He's on a near hash. He's lined up number 7. Again, he's going opposite direction that he should.
Yep.
He just lights up the guy. It's a blindside
Yep.
block. It was missed,
Yep.
and he's slow in getting up.
All right, so let's stop it here. Let's say we have a flag on number 19 at the 30-yard line for an illegal blindside block. And let's say this kid runs the ball out of bounds past the 30. Say he goes out of bounds at the 40. Where would the spider ask yourself that? Where will we enforce that foul from? In that case, it would be, I hope you're all thinking, a spot foul, 30 back to the 15.
15.
If it's an illegal blindside block. If the kid got tackled right here at, say, the 17-yard line, okay, now, because the foul's during the run, okay, we're going from the 17 to the 8.5, whatever it would be. So that's why it's important to know, okay, when the foul occurred. This is not a loose ball foul. At least in my judgment, the foul occurred after the receiving guy picked the ball up, right, the return man. Okay. Think the play the play in your mind, think it through. We have a chat box statement here, or comment from Ben Henderson. Hello, Ben. If the blindside block is initiated with open hands, it is legal, correct? I would say yes to that, Ben.
Yes, it is.
Good point in the chat box. Okay, Steve?
This is going to be a running play towards the far side. And the short wing has a great call on a horse collar.
All right, so we got trips left, single receiver right.
Oof.
Oh, great call.
Outstanding.
Great
Excellent,
calls at the
excellent.
22
Right.
and a horse collar, which you tack 15 on to 37. Right hash.
Love
But he
it.
definitely got it
Excellent.
right
Good.
there. That is
Way
a
to finish
good
the
horse
play,
collar.
Dave.
It's a great call.
Yep, and it's one we got to get. And again, folks, now let's just say, for the sake of argument, if we can run this back, all right, we're going to kind of give you a little heads up here to which, if you haven't seen the new rules, but and Bob, correct me if I'm wrong, if the previous spots say the 19, if this kid would have got tackled at the 15 by a horse collar, this year we're going from the 19 out to the 34, not the 15 as we would have done in the past.
Correct.
And that's big, folks. That's big. Okay. And again, the new rule tells us if the guy gains yardage and the foul's by the defense, on this play, we're going from the end of the run, as Dave said, 22 to the 37. If you got tackled at the 15, we go back to the 19, the previous spot, and go out to the 34. Those things matter. They matter. little details. That's what separates good officiating. And this is a classic horse collar.
Yep.
Referee might have also been down on that. Beautiful, out to the 37. Love it. Love it.
Now,
Well
this is
done.
this is the next play.
Yep.
And watch the left tackle on defense. It's going to be quick but you're going to have a twist, turn, and pull of a face mask on the running back. You'll see his head turn. Boom.
Okay, perfect. This is one we talked, it might be hard to get the player's number here. That doesn't mean we don't have a foul, but it might be very difficult to get this player's number. All right, but do we get it here?
We got
The
it.
umpire
There
has
it
it,
is.
Jim.
There it
Yeah,
is.
the umpire's throwing the flag.
Okay, so the guy
Another good
gained
call.
1 yard. We're going from the
H.
38, all right, to the 53, which is the other 47, right?
And then
If you
first and
got
10.
tackled for a loss,
Yep.
this year we're going from the previous spot, the 37, to the 52 or the other 48.
Correct.
Yep. So 2 good calls back to back.
And they're these are calls that they're game control calls. They're legit, and they keep the lid on a volatile sport. Again, in my view, football is unlike any other sport when it comes to emotions, intensity, those kinds of things. Okay, good, excellent.
Okay, now we got another game. Punt formation.
All right, now let's stop it here, okay? Umpire, on a punt, our manual tells you to be about 10 yards off the ball. You're about 15 here, 14 or 15. You can certainly move up. The ball's on the minus 25. You can certainly position yourself at the 35. That's a little bit too deep there, quite frankly. Okay, so move up. That way, as the kicking team players run by you, you can turn and pivot. You're so deep here now, you might not ever be able to do that if you're keeping them in your vision, which you should be doing. So you want to be 10 yards deep, not 15, not 14, 10. Okay, Dave or Steve with the video.
Must have heard you.
He must have heard you, Jim.
I'm
At
gonna
the
stop it here.
42
Okay, so
at the-
this is a really bad optic here, okay?
Yeah.
We don't want to see 2 officials getting forward progress. A couple things to point out here, other than the personal foul type action that this is about, but let's use a broad-based approach here. If we run this back this year, I don't know if it's the field judge or side judge, it doesn't matter. But the manual is going to have you off the field on a punt, and this is a prime example why. Okay, when you're in like this, you're moving as the play is moving, as the return man is running the ball back, like at the 36-yard line there. Okay, ideally you would be outside. Okay, you'd be on the sideline. Okay, that's where you want to be. You have a better field of vision to see that block at, what is it, the 42-yard line, 43-yard line?
Yeah, it's at the 43. You had a blindside block.
Yep. And you see, if you're wider, you see more. This is a prime example of why we want that guy off the field. And it's nobody's fault. It's not just officials' fault last year. I'm on the committee. I'll take the hit for that. We've corrected it this year. And in this video, maybe we'll even show it in Sayreville as a reason why we've done this. Okay. So if the official is on the sideline, his field of vision is much wider, and he's still very close enough to get that illegal blindside block at the 42 or 43. Okay, now, if we have a flag on this play, let's say we have a flag at the 42, and the guy gets tackled at the run ends at the 48 or 49, that becomes now a spot foul. So we're going 42 back to the 27. If the guy would have got tackled at the 40, then we go 40 back to the 25. And I present these scenarios because this is what Carl Paganelli, the late, great Carl Paganelli, taught me and hundreds of other officials. Play the play in your mind. Play the play in your mind. And then when it happens, it's like a muscle memory type concept, but also you know where you're going from with the enforcement of the foul. If you do it in your mind on a video, you're much more likely to do it on the field on a Friday night in September in New Jersey.
Yeah, this
One other
was
thing is
missed.
that I think the line judge or the player on the press box side of the field, short wing, he's coming up a little too far and then he hustles to get the spot,
Yeah.
which is the thing you said, Jim. We
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
want two
yeah,
officials.
exactly. Thank you.
He's
Bob.
got to be, he's
This-
got to be ready for a breakaway because he's got
yeah,
the goal
this
line.
is- This spot is the spot of the deep wings. That's it, period. And officials, we've got to get a little bit better at understanding what I call change of possession mechanics. To Bob Masucci's point, if this kid breaks out of that pack and goes down the left sideline, there's nobody close to him as an official. Stay back. This is not your forward progress spot. If you look up top on the other side of the field, they're in much better position. The deep wing can come up and square that off around the 49, whatever. And I don't know if it's the H or the L again, it was about the 36 or 37. That's fine. That's fine. All right. So folks, please adopt the mechanics that are out there for you. This is how we become better officials. And this whole thing of a punt, having the deep wing off the field, again, not his issue last year. That's our issue. I'll take the hit for that. Right? But the short wing coming down for this, that is simply not acceptable. That ship has sailed. Okay, I think we have 3 more plays.
Yeah. 2 more.
Okay, 2 more. Okay.
Another punt. And be about the 31-yard line.
And we're neither of our deep wings is deep enough here, but that's okay. We got to be behind all that action here. Okay.
Again,
We're
near
almost
near
straight
hash
line.
mark.
Yep,
Yeah,
I
near
see
hash
exactly
mark.
what's coming. Boom, right there. We're almost straight line to that. If we're back at the 20 or the 18 or so, we get a much better angle if we're watching our key on a play like that. So
Again, it's
question
the
here
same-
is,
yeah.
the question here is this PSK or is it during the return? If you can back it up a little bit, Steve, let's look at, folks, the timing of the block by number 24 in white versus the ball itself. Has the receiver picked it up yet? And now it's a running play. It's hard to tell if it's that close. Okay, make it not PSK, make it a running play, which means the end of the kick is about the 15. Okay, and then this foul would be enforced from the 15 back to the 7.5 if it was called.
Again, it was missed, Jim. It was the same player, 24 again. Same player as the previous play.
And
Well,
this
apparently
is
he
a
likes
prime
to do
example.
this.
Of poor positioning is going to make it difficult to get a foul like this. This is a mechanics issue more than judgment, guaranteed.
And then we have one more. This will be the last one.
Okay.
Again, watch the end of the play. They'll be coming near side. Running play will end up near the sideline. You got to get a little bit more smoother. Definitely, he's out of bounds and he throws him to the ground.
And if you look at the wide picture of this, to our right, everyone, we should see the deep wing getting involved with this. You have a white team player in the opponent's sideline. That's an automatic red alert, or to use the word Steve Citro uses, an automatic, my antenna is up. Okay. We need human beings coming in on this. Referee, hustle over there. Look at this. You can't now. Okay, here comes our deep wing. That's good. Maybe a little too late, but he's aware. He's aware of what's going on, when it's going on. Or referee, you got to hustle over there. Umpire, same thing. Come towards that sideline. All right, you're going to have all hell breaking loose here. Maybe flags, maybe not, but we have to make our presence known. And-
The umpire was hustling over.
Yep, and he is coming. Good.
Yep, he's coming.
Yep.
But again, it's when he's out of bounds. Yeah, he's out of bounds. You can't throw him to the ground.
And I don't know that we would catch this But if the deep wing was coming up and watch 34, who's sitting on the bench right now, he gets up and he throws a hit in there. You know, so that's why we got to get over that with a little more urgency.
And that's, Steve, that's a great pickup, and that's really a cheap shot by number 34. It'd be real nice to get that as a UNS and put a counter on him. Okay, you want to play football or not, 34?
So
So,
anyway, that's it.
well, Steve and Dave, I personally thank the two of you a great deal. You can, yeah, and for the your time, your efforts. The 68 of you are still on. Thank you for coming on a summer night. Please remember, August 5th, Sayreville High School. We're starting a little later this year. Registration will be at 7:30, not 7, and the clinic will kick off promptly at 8:30. So it's 8:30 to 1:30. I think we'll have a very good, again, a very good turnout and a lot of good content. Mike Barchamp's coming, Mark Batar's coming. We have some really good speakers coming, including a college head coach who's just going to talk to us a little bit about his view of officiating and about the industry itself and stuff. So lots of stuff to look forward to. Again, once again, personally, look forward to seeing as many of you as possible and renewing and also making some new relationships. So thanks again to everyone, in particular, Bob, Bruce, Steve, and Dave. Have a good night, everybody. Hope you all well.
Good night.
Everyone.
See ya.
Everybody.